In this video today, we're taking a look if the Sony A5100 is still a viable option for any beginner YouTuber or live streamer out there. Hey guys, and welcome to my channel, GermanLuk. If we have not met before, my name is Luke, and on the channel we're talking about how to leverage social media in order to grow your live stream. If that is something that you're interested in, make sure you hit the sub button down below as well as the bell so you don't miss any upload on Wednesdays and Saturdays. For everyone who is new, I also stream on Mixer every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, 10:30 a.m. MST. Link is down in the description. Like mentioned before, in today's video, we take a look at the Sony A5100. It's one of the most commonly used cameras for beginner live streamers and YouTubers, and we'll take a look if it's actually worth the money or if it's kind of outdated. But before we take a look at the camera itself, I think there is a really important point that you have to make as a live streamer or YouTuber. This point being is your overall goal for your live stream or your YouTube channel. If you're just streaming on the side a couple days a week, or you make a YouTube video every once in a while just for fun on the side, I would probably not invest in a Sony A5100. For the occasional YouTube video or live stream, there's plenty of good webcams out there that are more than enough. The go-to and most commonly used webcam for beginners is the Logitech C920. I will leave you a link down in the description for that, but this is more than enough to get you started with streaming. If you want to step up a little bit and get a little bit of a better image and better quality, the Logitech Brio is absolutely brilliant, and you will get it a lot cheaper than you can actually buy the Sony for. So that being said, if live streaming or YouTube is just a hobby of yours and not the overall goal to maybe make it a full-time career at some point, I would start with a webcam and see how you even like it before I would invest in a Sony. If live streaming or YouTube is a career that you want to get into, then I would say yes, a professional camera is probably a good investment to make into your future. But don't be fooled, if you want to use the Sony A5100 for your live stream, there's a lot more equipment and investment you need to make in order to get it working with your computer. DSLRs or mirrorless cameras like the Sony A5100 are not designed to be used as a webcam, so there's a couple of pieces of equipment that you need to put in between the camera and your computer in order to make it work. For starters, with the Sony you also need a capture card in order to capture the image of the Sony and transfer it over to your computer. A good capture card from Elgato can run you anywhere from $120 with the cam link up to $200+. So now you're investing a lot of money for the camera, and you gotta plan another $200 on top for a capture card. But this is not all. On top of that, you also need, if you don't already have it, a tripod to put the camera on, because you can't just clip a camera like the Sony onto your monitor because it's way too heavy. So a tripod, you can get really cheap tripods for like $30 or less, or you can invest in a really fancy one for up to $100. I personally would go with the $30 one, just saying. If you thought this was all a tripod and a capture card, no, you also need a power adapter. If you're using a camera like the Sony for live streaming, your live streaming will most likely be longer than the battery life of the actual camera. So you will need a power adapter to plug into your camera, go to your wall plug-in, so that the camera is supplied with power all the way through and will not shut off in the middle of your stream, and now you're left without a camera because you forgot to charge the battery. The power adapter that I am using for the Sony ran me about $20 to $30 depending on where you get it from. And last but not least, if you don't already have it laying around at home, you need a mini HDMI cable in order to connect the Sony to your capture card. This was a lot of information, but I will leave all the products that you need in order to hook up any Sony or DSLR as a webcam to your computer down in the description below. So in a total, you're not only looking at the $500 you need to buy the Sony A5100, that's what it's currently running at, but you will also need about another $300 depending on what capture card, what cable, or what tripod you get in order to have it working properly. So in total, you're looking at an investment of about $800, most likely before taxes, in order to make this step up in your setup. Now that you're aware of what is needed to actually get the Sony set up, let's talk about a couple of pros and a couple of cons that the Sony is bringing to the table. When it comes to choosing between the Sony and a webcam, size definitely matters, no matter what other people might tell you. And of course, we're talking about the size of the sensor in the camera. Any regular DSLR mirrorless camera has a larger sensor than any webcam out there, therefore it is able to capture more light on the actual sensor, and therefore a sharper image will occur. Besides Besides the sensor, the Sony or any other camera for that matter also just brings a lot more options to the table for micro adjustments than a webcam does. You get a sharper image, but you also get the option to adjust the light that is captured in the sensor. You have a much better autofocus. You're running at 60 FPS compared to 30 FPS, what is standard for most webcams. And last but not least, the Sony, compared to the Logitech C920, which I was using before, has a much larger field of view, therefore capturing more of your surroundings. But the Sony is not all positive. There's a couple of cons that come with purchasing a Sony A5100. One of the largest downside we already talked about, all the equipment that is needed in order to make the Sony work properly. And besides the money investment, there's also a lot of time that you have to invest in setting up the Sony and getting yourself familiar with all the settings that you now have at your disposal, all the options and tweaks you can make. Using the Sony A5100 is definitely a lot more complicated than simply buying a webcam and plugging it into your computer. One of the largest downfalls that I have seen a lot of people complain on the internet about is the overheating problem that the Sony A5100 has. During long recording hours or live streaming hours, the Sony A5100, for a lot of people from what I've read, tend to overheat and shut down. This is of course extremely annoying because in the middle of your stream the Sony can just shut off. Alright, now that we have discussed all the pros and the cons that the Sony A5100 comes with, let me know down in the comments below what webcam are you currently using. I'm assuming it's a Logitech C920 because this is what most of the people are using. But if you have a DSLR or maybe a Sony 5100, let me know in the comments what you think of the camera so far. In my opinion, the Sony A5100 is absolutely worth the step up in quality. If you have the money to invest and your overall goal where you want to go with your channel is clear, I would definitely recommend making the investment in the Sony A5100. The sharp image that you get from the Sony A5100 and the option of running in 60 FPS and doubling the FPS compared to a regular webcam is absolutely insane. It makes your stream so much clearer and smoother. Another fact that I really like about the Sony A5100 is that it is so commonly used across streamers and YouTubers that whatever problem you run into, I promise you there is a YouTube video out there or an article out there on how to work around this problem. So it really did not take me too long to set this camera up properly. When it comes to filming YouTube videos with the Sony A5100, it's also a perfect camera. We have to mention though that the Sony does not have the best stabilization in the camera itself, so if you're using it for vlogging, I have heard that it is a pretty shaky image from time to time, so I would recommend sticking to stationary videos with the Sony and mounting it on a tripod. And even though I love the Sony A5100 so far, it has the same downfall that any other camera has, and that is lighting. Without proper lighting, even a professional camera like the Sony A5100 is not gonna make your stream any better. So before investing in something like the Sony, I would invest in proper lighting and light up your scene properly so that the camera can capture the best light possible. If you have not checked it out, I have made a video last week about how to get 2 ring lights for under $30 that you can use for your stream and save a lot of money. I will link the video down in the description and also in the card up here. Before we end this video, I want to give you a couple tips if you do not want to go for the Sony A5100. There is a lot of different cameras out there that you can use for your live stream as well as for your YouTube videos. But there's a few things that you definitely need to keep in mind and ensure that the camera has before going for it. The first thing being said is you need clean HDMI. Clean HDMI simply means that only the image is transferred from the camera to your computer and not all the different options and settings that you see all around your screen. The second option that the camera needs to have is to be able to turn off power shutoff. You need to be able to override the shutoff of your camera so that it stays on during the whole time of your stream and not shuts off after 30 minutes. And lastly, it is the lens of the actual camera. In my opinion, the Sony comes with an amazing stock lens already, but whatever camera you are getting, you want to make sure that you are able to switch out the lenses in between to give you more options in the future. Guys, this was the video for today and my 2 cents about the Sony A5100. In a summary, I would definitely recommend if you have the money and you have the goal in mind where you want to go with your channel, make the investment and get a Sony A5100. Like mentioned earlier, all the links are down in the description of the products that you need in order to make it work. And I'm also happy to announce the first sponsor of today's video, which is my clothing brand, EnhanceYourGame.net. If you want to support the channel, head over to EnhanceYourGame.net and pick up some cozy streaming clothes. post. If you like the video or found it helpful, make sure you smash the like button for the YouTube algorithm. It really helps out a lot more than you think. And if you don't want to miss another video, make sure you hit the sub button down below with the bell for every Wednesday and Saturday upload. And lastly, I know you always share the video with your friends, your family, but guys, the dogs. Share with the dogs.